motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion?
It's just my name, sometimes it gets switched around, it gets backwards in this one, so, it's okay, I know how to names. That was the only change.
Oh, it's supposed to be Williams.
In
I missed that
which-
in the minutes?
In the minutes part?
Okay.
Okay.
I think you took, did you take the minutes also?
Mm-mm.
So then we'll have a motion to approve them as amended then.
Yeah, motion to approve with Sheila.
With Sheila's name in it.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, all in favor?
Nothing big.
Aye. Financial report, oh, dude in the back, you're a little early, quick.
Wow. You want me to sit down up there?
Sure.
If you'd like to. Come on over. So, all right, so, Carl Gentoff, as you know, partner at 10 Square, doing some CFO consulting for St. Paul City School. So for the December financials, we're now officially 50% of the way through the fiscal year, and our revenues are coming in very close to that at 48.7%, and our expenses are lagging a little bit at a little over 40%. Part of that is due to some of the 10-month versus 12-month contracts for some of the teachers, and because some of the billing for like transportation is a little bit behind, lagging by about a month. Our cash balance as of the end of December was a combination of the 1.296 million that we have in the checking account and 800,000 that we have in the CDARS account, with a little over 2 million total. We're still.
Sorry, Carl,
Yep.
sort of to jump in on
Yep.
you early here, just one.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to
clarification.
lead.
That's okay.
Yep.
At the beginning of the executive summary, it lists the board approved budget with a year-end surplus of $543,428. That's the original board approved budget. If you recall, last month the board approved a revised budget, which brings that number to a surplus of $317,699. This report here reflects the original board approved
Yep.
budget, not the revised budget that was done last month. It didn't make its way back over to creative planning, and they used this, the old budget to build this, the entire
Yeah.
budget.
So yeah, my apologies. I have a note written on the top of my notes to mention that, and I forgot. So yeah, so everything that you see in here with the comparison to the board approved budget is obsolete, because it should be the budget that we adopted last month as a board approved budget. Let me just see. So, and just that with the cash that we have in the bank, just remember this is like one of the top peak times of cash in the year, and from like this period all the way through the end of the summer, we'll have expenses that will be kind of be higher than revenues, and our cash balance will slowly shrink till the bottom towards the end of August or September. Let me see, we have a prior state aid receivable of $201,000. That is kind of the remainder of the special ed funding from last year that we're still waiting for payment for this year from the state. We expect that, usually that's trued up kind of at the end of January, beginning of February. So we're expecting that in the next month or so to start getting some of that money in, and that'll be closing out kind of the revenue from last year.
We don't expect any holdup on that for any
No,
reason, right?
no, we don't. And we have all of our federal aid from last year has been paid in full. So we are currently, we have about $130,000 of federal aid receivables. These are things that we spent money on reimbursable grants that we haven't yet been paid for, but are in the process. You see, if you look at the overall graphs that we have here, this is kind of us at the 50% of the revenues, 40% of the expenditures, et cetera. This is our fund balance line that we've had over the course of the last few years, and this is kind of like our revenues are the gray bars, the expenses are the green bars. As we go forward, you know, the gray bars should follow the line, the green bars will catch up to the line by the end as some of the expenses come in and the salaries, the 10-month salaries start to catch up. On here with the enrollment, you can see that our actual enrollment is around 614 weighted at ADM versus our budget now is 602. So we are currently have a little bit higher actuals in our budget. Part of this is so we have a little bit of room for attrition as we've seen historically. So we're kind of on target for what we're looking to do. If we are able to cut attrition vis-a-vis last year and the year before, then we would end up with a little bit more revenue than we currently have projected in our working budget. And here you can see kind of our cash forecast over the years. The green bar is our cash. The orange bar is what we have available on our line of credit if we'd like to draw on it. The gray bar we introduced this month because we invested some of our cash into the CDARS account. That'll be freeing up in June before we start hitting some of our higher cash needs. We'll give a little bit more interest on that money and make sure that it's insured. And so the green and the gray bar together is kind of our cash position month by month.
And just a note, the line of credit is still not being drawn at all. We have not drawn on that line of credit since back in the summer. So it's there, and we count it as cash that's available to us should we need it. But again, we have not drawn on that line of credit at all. And the CD investment that that the board approved us moving forward with, that's earning us about $2,000 a month just on the CD. So it's really great that we have a good strategy to start to build some of our revenue.
Quick question, with
Yep.
going back to the weighted, the ADM.
Yep.
Will that, does attendance affect that at all?
It does.
Or is that just enrollment?
Attendance does affect.
Attendance does affect
Yeah,
it.
because
So
they
that-
might take the number of students and then if it's 95%, they take 5% kind of.
So now this math going on, it could potentially go down a
It
little bit.
could,
then,
yeah.
Okay.
And I think if you miss a certain number of days, then the automatic drop. Or no?
The state law is that we have to drop after 15 days of a student missing school. I would say just broadly, and we have more enrollment data in the director's report as well. It's really important for us to monitor enrollment throughout these days, weeks, but also the long-term impact on what it means for our enrollment at our school. We'll see where all of the dust settles after we get through the next couple of weeks, but it's going to be really important that we continue to take close looks at where our enrollment is and if we see more drops. And so far we have not seen large numbers of drops, but it is something that we have to monitor to make sure that our enrollment stays both within our budget and where we want it to be as a school.
Okay, next on the balance sheet, if you look at the balance sheet, we have about, it starts off with the cash position, the $2 million in cash with the money in the checking account and the CDARS account. Then we have like due from our building company, which is remaining steady right now at about a little over 1.1 million, but that will kind of decrease a little bit towards the end of the year because for the cash flow from our building company that gets paid back to the school, first we reimburse the school for the interest that's paid, then we get the extra cash at the end of the year to pay down the due to, due from. So that'll be going down by a couple $100,000 towards the end of the year. State aid receivable is there at 201. We're still watching that. And then we have in there our current year holdback at 321,000 and our federal receivable that we'll be booking at 130,000. As we go down to our liabilities, we are starting to put away money for salaries and benefits for the summer accrual. Basically for the folks that are on the 10-month salary, we then will pay them through the end of the summer by putting away salary and benefits now during the year. And then we have kind of our unrestricted fund balance, which is the 2.25 million. And then we have our net income to date, which is really overstated just because the way the cash flow comes in. But with that fund balance, it's currently at about 3.5 million. But if you take out the 1.3 million of cash, that's not real. And then the due to, due from, it's closer to like $1 million for our real position it is. Let me see. look through kind of the total revenues and expenditures for the year to date, you know, everything, the state revenues are at 50%, which we expect. Federal revenues are lagging a little bit, at just under 40%. Our local revenues are at 64%, mainly because that includes the reimbursement of the interest expense that the school is taking on from the building company that will come in until it's paid off at the $465,000. Let me see. The salaries and benefits are in the 36%, which is about what we expect. We are seeing, you know, I flagged and have been looking at some of our supplies and materials, which are a little bit higher than where we expect to be in the year. Some of that's been because the expenses were front-loaded, but we are monitoring that and managing that as well.
I mean, I brought in pencils, that's gotta be like huge on that budget.
All right. Let me see, on the state revenues, again, what we talked about pretty much holds steady through, as you start breaking it down. We did have an issue that in the financials that were sent out with the Q-Comp aid. That was a miscoding. We've fixed that, and we'll be updating that in next month's financials. It was unemployment from last summer that was miscoded as Q-Comp aid. But we did flag that with with creative planning, and they already identified and have fixed that.
Do you know what the actual
Zero.
percentage is? Or?
It's
Oh,
zero,
oh,
like,
okay.
because what happens is Q-Comp kind of comes in at the end of the year, we spend it at the end of the year.
Got it.
And so it's something that we shouldn't expect to see anything until
Okay.
all at the end. Again, our federal revenues, just give you some details, but it's lagging a little bit behind just because of some of the reimbursement nature of the federal revenues. Let's see. On the next page, you can see, for example, on the expenditures, the HUCOMP expenditure to date is zero, even though, you know, if you straight line our budget, we expect to spend $70,000 or $78,000, but it'll all happen kind of at the end of the year. There are a number of line items there that we flagged from some of the discretionary income or discretionary expenses that we have been monitoring and are monitoring because they're a little bit above what we expect this year. But I think everything, we have a handle on everything that's in there right now, and are on top of it. We don't expect that to keep going up.
We've talked about it in prior board meetings, so but I'll just quickly summarize that these were largely planned expenses for additional curriculum, instructional supplies, and those things that we intentionally went above our budget, knowing that we had some real issues to address in our school, and that we offset that through planning through other budgets. So it's a planned spending of a need for our school.
Okay. On the next page, we start looking at like special ed and ADSIS and some of the other expenditures. If you notice, the special ed salaries and wages and benefits are a little bit lower than we would expect normally, and contracted special ed services are higher. So one of the things that's been happening this year is we've had trouble finding the qualified teachers we've needed in the right areas, but we've been able to fill those gaps with contracted services instead. So it's shifted some of the expenses from salaries and benefits over to contracted services. And so it's something that we're doing. We get reimbursed either way, but we just got to make sure we provide the right level of services to the kids. Let's see. I think is the major things that the cash, if we look at the last page, we kind of have the overall expenditures month by month, and you'll see that this month was a high expenditure month because we had 3 payrolls that went out in the calendar month. It'll go back to 2 kind of after this, and come down a little bit. But you can see also that our total revenues are falling below our expenditures kind of for the rest of the year, and our cash balance will drain down to our projected cash at the end of the year. And so, but right now, there's a couple things that we're monitoring. One is we have our line of credit available, but as we get towards June, We expect, it's kind of our lowest, we get into our lowest cash point. Our CD that we have, it matures in early June, so we'll have the ability to relook at things at that point and say, if we need to move some more cash to our checking account, we'll move it at that point and then reinvest as we get reimbursed with the holdback later in the fall. So, but overall, there's nothing that's, everything we have right now is kind of within our expectations, though we're continuing to, monitor, especially the enrollment piece, which drives such a big piece of our budget going forward. Any questions?
I do have a question. I see on the full service community grant, it says 0%.
Yes.
Is that like nothing is being spent out of that grant? Or the grant is
Right now, we're
done,
waiting
or-
for, we're waiting for the state to kind of give us the procedures and on how to, what this can be drawn down for, if I remember right.
Okay.
So,
And what's approved for?
yeah, so right now, we have to wait for this, we can't submit anything until the state comes out with its guidance, which it hasn't done yet.
Because they're always so timely.
And we're actively reaching out to the full service community school folks at MDE. I did a couple of weeks ago, creative planning did last week. That department has just tended to be a little bit slower in getting things out. They put an extension out previously, but we're still waiting. But we are actively seeking out inquiries into what's happening with those access to dollars. Really quick back to the cash position, and this is also on the readers these days. On page 6, the cash balance projection, even at that lowest point for us, we're still not drawing into we're not drawing into that line of credit or into the certificate of deposit that we have. So that's going to mature. We'll have access to that fully liquid, but according to our projections, that we're not going to need to access that. We'll have what we have in our Sunrise account for the cash needs.
Can you verify what you said about our net income at the end of the year, the changes? What was the number 3?
Our budget, our updated board-approved budget was about $317,000 that we are targeting for a surplus. Right now, we're projecting a surplus of $225,000, so a little bit lower than what we would like and kind of what we need to continue to build our cash reserves where they need to be for our refinancing of our loans in 2028. But we are on track to make both our days cash on hand and debt service coverage ratio covenants that we have with our financing, mainly because our days cash on hand with the bank currently includes receivables, which includes the holdback from MDE, which most banks don't allow to be included. So we need to be at a position in the future where we're meeting those kind of hurdles without the receivables.
And maybe just to underline that for the sake of clarity, that board-approved budget, the surplus was $317,699, and our ongoing working budget is at the $225,851. We maybe got a little bit of good news with our transportation provider about a way to get access to some reimbursable funds, but to make that a little bit better. But our target is $300,000 annual surplus. That's where we really want to be, and we're a little under that right now. So again, important to track enrollment, regularly.
Yeah, if we don't have the attrition that we've had in previous years, we should hit that. If we do have the attrition that we budgeting that we've had in previous years, then we'll be at kind of 225. All things being equal. All right. Thank you. See you next month. Do you need me to stay for anything?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
So are you guys looking at the coming people sort of going to like contract?
Yes, that has been the goal. That will continue to be the goal. If we can, then that's our preference whenever it's possible. But the supply of special education teachers has been such that we've had to look outside of our school and look for other opportunities. We're thankful that we've been able to staff out our school because some schools are really struggling, and there's not a dearth of special education educators out there. So we're thankful to have contracted staff here that are serving our kids, but the goal is always to have as many in-house staff as what we can.
And the
Yeah, we have,
They're not different people.
right, and in most cases, these are one-year agreements that we're
Oh.
entering into. And so the goal is to have as much
So
consistency.
kind of like a long-term stuff, they're not different all the time.
Right, right.
I feel like since post pandemic, it's just been really hard in schools. I was watching an ad and it was like a teacher, and then she was like, "Oh, you want to change your career?" And it was like a nurse, and I was like, "Stop, 'cause we need them. We need them out of there. Leave our teachers alone. We need them where they are. Stop." So.
Distance learning option.
I just wanted to provide an update to the board on a couple of things, on where things currently stand. As I think all board members know, that all students in the United States have access to an education regardless of immigration status. We are obligated, and we do provide an education to all of our students, and we will continue to do so. We also recognize that what's happening in our community has been really hard for some of our families, and so as you know, we offered our students the opportunity to move to distance learning if their parents chose to. And we can do so because of an online instruction act that was passed in 2023 that allows schools to temporarily shift learning models for students. So this is part of an approach that not just our school, but districts, St. Paul Public, Minneapolis, there's a handful or several other districts that also provided a very similar approach to what we have. This option of allowing students to opt in with their family opting into distance learning, again, is the same model that St. Paul Public is using and the same model that Minneapolis Public Schools is using. And things are moving quickly. I spoke with Esteban, not this past Friday, but the Friday before, and on that Friday, we were planning somewhere between 20, 30, maybe 40 students that we would serve in a distance learning model at that time, just a little over a week ago. By the time we got into maybe Tuesday, we realized that that number was going to be a lot bigger. And that's where this pivot really started to change, because 20 students across the school is a lot different than where we currently stand. And as we went into last week, we saw student attendance about 40, maybe 50%, depending on the day, maybe 40% on Monday, 50% on Tuesday. But then Wednesday, it was even less than that. It was about a third of our students here. And that was, that was for us the urgency to say, like, we need to figure out how we're going to offer this to our families. But the timeline's hard. Our staff have done a really, really great job of stepping up and responding in so many different ways. We delivered food for 100 families, and each of them received 4 bags of groceries last Friday. We have staff out, probably still right now, on the road, traveling to people's homes to give them a Chromebook and supplies. And we'll continue to do that tomorrow. So, like, as hard as it's been, and as hard as the timeline in particular has been, to try to figure out how do you do this when some of your class is going to learn in a distance model, and some of your class is going to learn in person, it's a real challenge. Our staff today had the day, which was a previously planned professional development day, and they had the day to plan for what this looks like, and they still need more time, and we recognize that they still need more time, because a day is not enough when at 11:30 you get the list of students that are going to be in distance learning, which is what happened today. So people are working really hard to pivot and to make this happen. We'll continue to support our teachers, because we know that they're going to need more. Just a couple quick numbers. I pulled this right before the meeting, and right now the number of students that we have confirmed in distance learning is 45%, or 262 students. In person, that is people who have responded back definitively, like, no, I'm going to stay in person. That's 113, or 19%. But there are 205 that we have not yet heard from, or about 35%. So we know about what 2/3 of the school is going to do. We're waiting for about a third to get back to us to let us know. And it does vary. I have the grade level breakdown here. It does vary by grade, and in some cases, it's closer to 50-50, but in others, it's tilted more one way or another. Which is kind of the challenge, is that there's no grade levels that are the same. There's 14 grades in this school, and everybody's in a slightly different place in terms of who's going to be served in which model. There's a lot of other things that I could go into, but I think the highlight version is that's where we currently stand. This is going to be a transition, as much as I think it would have been easier if we knew this is exactly what this is going to look like on this day for this students, and here we have everything for them, like, let's go. The reality is, in part because of the timeline, but also changing circumstances, that it's going to be a little bit of a process, and our staff have done a really good job of being flexible and staying patient at times when we need to, because again, it's a challenging and changing dynamic, but I'm confident that our staff are doing a good job for our kids.
You called me the other day, because I got the second notice, and I said, if you called school about Lyric, she's doing distance, you're not Lyric's in the background. She's like, yes, and so I was like, absolutely not. She's not doing distance. But on another note, on a conference call or Zoom call that I had with local community centers last week, Johnny over at JK Movement, they have suspended programming last week and probably this week. And he did say that because they still have staffing and they have vans, if there's anyone who had a need for transportation, for delivering meals, for whatever, to reach out for them. So if you have, extra need for that, I would reach out to Johnny over there at JK Movement, because I know they've been helping like Frogtown do their deliveries for Food Shelf and stuff like that. So if you need to get more Chromebooks out, if you need to get more meals out or bags of food to families, reach out to Johnny. Just tell him I told you to call
Or
him,
if you guys
because he
need
has
like
vehicles
observers
and
in the
deals.
morning or the afternoon, in a couple different groups, and a couple of our like staff teams very close by can support, so just let us know if you need any of that. A lot of my folks are trained as observers and all that stuff, so yeah, that would be helpful. We can look into.
Thank you.
Can I ask, on behalf of staff members, is there like did you guys, were you able to come up with like a prescription for reevaluating the need for online programming? It's like every Friday a message going out, or do we have like a predictable way that families can communicate their needs? Because you said weekly, right? And so
Weekly, but not to mean that. I think what we want to avoid is putting teachers in a position where there's a lot of change with who's on distance learning and who's not. So we need to evaluate where we're at and where we're going weekly, but not to mean that we need to open it all back up and let everybody move back and forth. How frequently, if we were to allow that kind of change, we haven't set like a definitive timeline. That you guys are both here. Is there anything
yeah, I know
different or more you want to add to
we
that?
kind of talked about like a 2-week idea of really like, planning 2 weeks at a time kind of thing.
It is hard, and I think they said ICE will be here till May or something.
I was just gonna ask, how long is the distant learning options gonna be available? Is it until ICE leave, or?
We didn't set a specific end date. I know in the case of Minneapolis, they did when they launched their model. They set a specific 1-month date. We chose not to, because there's just so many unknowns with this, and whether it's something that we need to offer for the next 3 weeks or 5 weeks or 7 weeks. We just don't know. We're going to keep evaluating it, but I think there's a lot of things that are moving fast here, and when we would allow families to choose to come back, I think is a conversation that we'll have to have with teachers and staff in the coming days.
So is it gonna be like teachers just assigning the assignments in like their Google Classroom, then the kid will have to go and do them online?
It depends, I think, is probably the best answer, and I'm looking at, my principal friends over there too, because it depends on which grade that we're talking about and what they're able to do. and how many students move to distance learning, because that'll have an impact on whether or not it's all asynchronous, or if there are some synchronous, if there are some times where everybody is to be on the Google Meet at a specific time. That's going to vary, and maybe you guys can speak to this. I think that secondary is going to be all asynchronous. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what we talked about today and the plan that we came up with today.
And then elementary will have varying degrees of synchronous. So there'll be like some kind of choice board kinds of things, options. But our kindergarten, first, and second graders don't have school issued devices. The tablets that I think were used back in COVID times have not changed since then, and they're not dependable enough to send home. So K2, we're really gonna, we've been asking families what they have, if they're able to, you can get on with a phone, just to get on a Google Meet, and be able to meet with kindergarten, first, and second grade that way. Our priorities are phonics and math, and then SEL and kind of community support as well. Fourth and fifth grade are two examples where, they're about 50-50, but they really want to keep their class community strong, and so they are planning to teach in person and virtually at the same time, like be able to have everyone interact. The kids who are home be on the screen and everyone being able to work together. So that's what they're really working to do in fourth and fifth. And then third grade, third, second, first will be they'll stay with their classroom teacher, but their teachers might swap, like it might be I'll teach all the math virtual and you do all the literacy, so they at least have some contact with their primary teacher.
Well, thank you guys for making quick adjustments and trying to pivot and meet the families where they are when they're getting,
Do you have any idea right now, like what percentage of families have equipment at home that works, or haven't you even gotten that far to know?
I know that was one of the things the family team went through and asked the same series of questions, and that was one that they were able to ask. So I don't know the numbers offhand, but we did send Chromebooks to every student, third grade and up, who's virtual, and chargers. Can't forget the charger. So that all went home, third grade and up, and we pulled it off miraculously today. I came in right at 5 because I was dropping the last one off that I was doing today. But we got backpacks out, supplies, printed copies, whiteboards, expos. I mean, things that the classrooms that they need. So.
I'm just wondering if there's a need for the little ones, if that's something we can start like reaching out to.
like iPads.
Yeah, for the little ones, like to companies or something, saying we have a need for this many, for our kids to distance learn. Once we get those numbers, it wouldn't hurt to.
Yeah, and the teachers really felt comfortable, like with the literacy instruction, for example, they're sending home like the paper copies of things, and then also like some that are laminated, so they can like use a dry erase marker over it.
Okay.
So really being able to like talk through that and so they won't necessarily like produce work online. We'll see, but it really will be having this 5-year-old on the phone, and kind of going from there. So yeah, we'll see.
Thank you.
Yeah. Again, shout out to people who drove around the city. You included, Jenny, to get supplies to our families. And I'm also confident there are families that still need supplies. We couldn't get to everybody, and I'm sure that there are people either still with bags of supplies down there, or just things that we know that we're going to have to continue to work to get in the hands of our families. So, and it's a little bit of a process, but we're working towards it.
Do you have any disruptions in staffing?
Generally, no. Our staff have been here.
I did want to ask that too.
Yeah,
Especially
it's really
the other
hard for
day,
teachers right now.
Sophia noticed, and I'm like, oh wow, like I feel like Sophia's only 7 and she kind of understands what's going on, but also is very like, But she did make a comment about like the guy that used to do like the cleaning for you guys. I don't know what his name is, but she's like, I haven't seen him in a really long time. It's like there's a new girl now, so I just wanted to make sure like if he's still here with you guys.
That change happened before any of
okay.
the events
do personally know him as well, so I just wanted to make sure that he was okay.
I will say though, even they're showing up, which is great, and it's heavy. You know, like it's heavy on everyone. But I know our teachers are, you know, it's keeping the extra eyes. It's like paying extra attention to how kids are feeling. It's, you know, hearing, even just some of the things like, you know, there was a parent who was just late to pick up, and the fears of like, okay, why, all of those things.
Right.
So teachers are here and super grateful, and I know and I'm sure Rashad too is just really trying to stay in tune with how we are, what our needs are, and kind of that self-aware, self-care kind of speeches to be able to name, because it's definitely draining. It's a lot on everyone. But
Any other questions about our option for distance learning?
Hybrid is the hardest. Doing both is harder than doing all online or all in person. So I feel for you all.
Oh, but thank you for meeting the families where they're at, you know.
Do you want me to go to the next agenda item?
Yep.
All right.
Still
Can I just
Uh,
ask one question before we move on?
Yep.
So parents, so like with the online learning, like do we have the option to say this isn't working, we're going back in person? Or do we have to wait to get approval?
And she's like, I'm trying it for a couple days, it ain't working.
Unlike Tanea, who already knows, nope,
Uh-huh.
you're going, no.
I mean, I think that the honest answer is, I'm not sure yet on the way that that's going to look, because it could really impact the teachers who are planning for different models of how they're going to deliver their education, right? If there's as Jenny was saying earlier, if there's two teachers at a grade level who moved into a specific model, and then, you know, the students who are in person change significantly, that could impact them, and they would need to pivot. And I just think we got to think through how's that going to work, and make sure that we set our teachers up to be successful, because as we've been talking about, this has been a heavy demand, and we need to make sure that we can provide as much clarity for them as we go forward. And just what I do know is leaving it open would be really hard, because then people are adjusting all the time. We do have to have some structure to it, but exactly what it's going to look like, I don't think we know that yet. There'll be an opportunity to come back in, yes, whether that's 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, wherever we decide. That just can't say definitively.
Is it easier to move one way or another, like online? Would that switch be made quicker, or is this we have to
Maybe, yeah, maybe. And there's, what did I say, 200 still unknown out there. So it's going to change, right? Right now we're trying to get as close as we can, and that was the second message that went out today, saying we really need to have this information, because there was even more prior to that message going out. So we really do need to hear from our families on what is their preference. Our assumption is going to become that you're going to be in person unless you ask for distance learning. That'll be our default, not the other way.
And then would you guys have enough devices if everybody, like third up, went distance learning?
It's very close. We think the answer is yes, and it's also like really close.
No, that's cool.
If
We
everybody
just bought all
was
those
to-
textbooks.
Sheila.
Well, if you guys can come to the museum and use our printers, we'll just make copies. Packets.
I mean, there was a time when it was paper.
Oh, I remember
Just
this.
saying. And I did just bring pencils. Okay, we good to move on? Okay. School principal updates.
I'll just I'll kick it off, and then Jenny and Rashad can arm wrestle for who's gonna go first.
I'm going first.
He won.
I was gonna say, you already know.
He wrote
Sherry
Rashad.
wrote it.
His last,
Okay.
he wants to stay this entire
Okay.
meeting. I didn't write it.
This, of course, is part of a planned increased engagement from school supervisors at the board, something we talked about last summer, and keeping with our schedule of rotating through directors and principals to provide updates on what's happening in their department, what's happening across the school. And up this month is Jenny Bordnero, our elementary school principal, and Rashad Watkins, the secondary principal. And you guys, I don't know what all you're going to present. I gave them a short outline, but in general,
Well, you
they're
have a
gonna,
short outline, but like this,
whether you
could
followed.
you can pick from here.
No, I just asked them to give a short update on how things are going, what's happening now, but also just broadly, what's happening at elementary and secondary, and give the board an update on just the big picture. So, Jenny,
I'm going first.
He's
Wanna
going
sit
first.
up here?
Front and center.
somewhere over here.
You gotta change spots.
I feel like more in. I don't know what's. I think I got it.
All right, well, I have all the questions that Ben has sent to me and Jenny, so I'm just gonna go through the questions that he sent us.
Like the kids, I'm only gonna answer the question that's given.
So the first question was, what is really going well right now? And I think for the secondary, the physical altercations have definitely decreased at a very, very, high level, like dropped off dramatically.
What do you
and-
think is the reasoning behind?
I think, the accountability, factor has played a big role in that, and I think us being very intentional about building relationships with our students and families, have really gone a long way with that as well. Mr. Brooks, our secondary dean, and Ms. Vicky, our behavior specialists, and our social workers have done a really good job with meeting kids early when things are starting to happen, and doing restorative circles, reaching out to families, very, very early when things do pop up. So we've been more reactive, so we're getting on it early and not getting on it late. And we're knowing what's going on before things,
Pop off.
even pop off. And
Yeah.
students are going to class more regulated, in the hallways more regulated. I remember last year when we was in the hallways, it was always looking at who was in the hallways and where are they located to each other, and making sure that students, kept a distance, from each other. We did so much escorting to buses last year, and I don't think we've done any escorting so far to end the school. Well, so far this school year, when the bell ring, kids are just going to the buses and been able to conversate with them as they're going to the buses. So so definitely a different feel.
Students are seeking out help too for problem solving.
Yeah.
They're asking to speak to Desmond or Amber.
Mm-hmm.
They are
Yeah.
aware of
Yep.
how they're
Yep.
feeling.
They're
And
definitely
they are,
reaching out.
they, like, are naming what they are feeling and saying like, I need help solving this conflict, which is awesome.
To your point, that relationship building, now they know that there's someone that's gonna deal with it. They have that trust in the staff to make sure they're handling it. So they're not handling it their own way. So that's fun.
That is kudos, because I mean, just that change from last year is like
Yeah.
huge, which is exactly what we were hoping. Like, now we got through that crisis, and now
Yeah.
let's be able to really, really focus on the students. So that's amazing. Good
Yeah,
job.
and even when
That's
new
awesome.
students are starting, we've been very intentional about how they're being welcomed into the building, and making sure that they have a student mentor, making sure they have a binder available right away, their computer is available right away, so they're getting integrated into the culture right away, getting to know their names right away. Anything pop up, getting on the phone with their families right away, getting them in here face to face right away. So the staff, has been working really hard on that. So I give them a lot of credit for the turn that we was able to make this year.
So definitely like
Yeah,
a
that's
climate
huge.
shift,
Yeah.
culture shift.
Awesome.
The another piece that's going really well too, as I've been getting into classroom, checking on students with their binders, as you know, we started binders this year. And starting off the school year, we had students leaving their binders here at school just to get them into the routine of having their binders here, taking their binders to class. In November, told the staff and students that, hey, it's time for you to take your binders home, to be responsible, to start bringing them back to school, taking them home, bringing them back so your parents can see what's going on in school every day. Students are doing a really good job with bringing their binders back to school every day. As I go into the classroom, I ask students, I'm like, hey, where's your binder? And, oh, it's in my backpack, Mr. Watkins. Well, hey, let me see it. I looked through it and, so, in August when I spoke to the staff, one of the things that I really spoke about was turning our students into independent learners instead of being dependent learners, and that's part of the process is getting them to take accountability and ownership for their own learning and putting the emphasis on our students, to take their binders home, bring their binders back, be ready, to go to class, get your binders, have them organized, not dirty. And sometimes I'm in the classroom telling kids, like, hey, your binder is dirty, man. Like, hey, let's clean this binder out. You need to, tighten this up. Like little things like that go a long way. And you see students in the morning looking for their binders and they can't find it. They're telling Miss Barbara and other teachers, I need to go find my binder, or I need to, get my binder. So just hearing the language, switch this year as far as binders and accountability and the culture has been really good to see this year. All right, Ben, let me see, where's your next question? One or two areas you have intentionally prioritized for growth and improvement. Not all the way there yet, but in the middle school hallway, got to get to the hallway at the high school. I know Jenny said you can do this at the elementary too. We've been hanging college pennants in the hallway for the visual of our students so they can see college names of universities. So we got Big Ten schools, we got HBCU schools, we got Ivy League schools, so that way, they can dream big, they can see college names in the hallway. And I was in my office doing it one day. Some of the middle schoolers was in there. They was like, why are you doing this now? Why didn't you do this last year? I was like, look.
Because y'all were acting up last year.
Like, hey, we're getting to it. And, I had a couple of kids looking through it and saying, hey, I want to go to this college. So, to be able to hear them talking about college. And at the high school, having Zello has been, really big because they're able to research careers. They're, able to research and see where their interests are. And, just, the conversations are different, and, the vibe is different. Later on, we'll talk about, some other stuff, but we got some students who really took ownership of their learning as far as like our evening classes. We have, two young ladies who are really, really grinding, like they was really low on credits, and now they're getting close, to being able to graduate in June because they come to school every day, passing their classes here, and they go home in the evening and they're getting online and grinding law classes as well. And last year, Barbara, you can contest to this, I probably would never heard Daisy and Tamara talking about their credits in graduating. Now they're so focused on getting their credits and graduating. They get mad at me and Mr. Brooks if we're slow, with doing something because they're so focused on making sure that their work get graded, that their work is updated in this infinite campus, and that their grade reflects the work that they've been doing. So, to really hear them, talking about this, to see them really engaged in their learning, to see them coming to school every day, focusing on their academics, going home and logging in and, getting those extra credits so they can try to graduate in June has been, really good to see here in the building as well.
And they become good role models and leaders for others too.
Yeah, they have. Like, they, a lot of our students have really matured and, have really taken some steps as far as that, maturity stage this year. Two of the young ladies I was just talking about, were big in some stuff last year, have definitely handled some things a lot differently this year in a lot more mature way. Even though sometimes they still might raise their voice at me and Desmond sometimes, but we're able to have a conversation in a different way without them stomping out the office and slamming the door and going in the hallway, doing all this other stuff. It's, it's staying contained to the office, right now, but still
That's
working
progress.
with them.
That's
Yeah,
good. That
definitely
is
progress.
Yes.
Definitely progress.
Also, as a predator for some
Yeah.
You have to
How
like
much? Right.
accept that. Like,
Mhm.
there will be a
Strong
personality
minded.
one day.
Except we wanted them to independent.
Accident quality one day. They're fabulous.
Powerhouses, yes.
Yeah, definitely part of their personality is all the way. And you know, and we know that. So when I approach them with something, I kind of know,
Take that away.
you know, what I'm gonna get right away. You know, kind of where that's gonna lead, and kind of you know, and where we need to get to. And by the time they leave the office, you know, they're able to have a conversation and talk to you a lot better. Another thing that we've been prioritizing is making sure teachers are teaching from bell to bell, making sure students are in the classroom seated when the bell rings, so teachers can get started right away. Because the more that they're engaged in learning and they're teaching from bell, you know, bell to bell, that limits distractions in the classroom, that limits, you know, things that they can do with their friends, you know, in the classroom. So making sure that teachers are ready to go where they do now, and kids are walking to the classroom, you know, ready to go right away. And again, just to speak to the binders again, just hold students accountable to make sure that they're prepared and ready to go into the classroom to learn right away. Sometimes I'll stop a student if I feel and see that they're not regulated to go into that class, like during passing time, and sometimes I'll stop them and have a conversation with them to get their attention and let them know what expectations are before they get into the classroom, and just not let them run into the classroom just wild, because I know what that outcome that is gonna, you know, happen within the first 5 minutes. They're gonna be out. So being very deliberate and intentional about talking to students in the hallway, seeing how they're doing, and seeing how they're ready to get into the classroom right away or not. And not setting the teacher up for failure, because if we know they're not ready to go, then there's, you know, we're not sending them into the classroom right away until we know that they're ready to go.
And it sounds like you guys have moved from like, yeah, being a little bit more reactionary to some of the student behavior to being more like proactive, or maybe like de-escalating right away when you see like we just gonna grab you right now. And you ain't, we gonna help you graduate and then go back.
Yeah. All right, next question. How are you feeling about the overall direction of secondary and how things are trending? Feel very good, very optimistic about, you know, where we're going. Just like any school district, you know, there's different things that we always want to work on and improve on, and we will, you know, keep working on those things. But in general, you know, I feel really, you know, good about where we are. I feel like a lot of our teachers do a really good job meeting our kids where they are, building healthy, strong relationships with, you know, students and parents, and a lot of teachers really doing some good things in the classroom academically. But with that being said, you know, still want to make sure that, you know, as we continue to hire, that we're hiring teachers who can believe our students can learn, and that they're teaching rigorous academics in the classroom. And most important, from what I see, just, you know, having that belief in our students. Our students are smart, and I don't think a lot of people get them enough credit for how smart they are. They know who care about them. They know who believes in them. They know who knows, you know, that, you know, somebody wants the best for them. So making sure that our staff reflects our student body population, but also making sure that we get caring individuals in here that's going to care about students and families 100%, you know, when they walk through these doors at 7:30. Any other questions with any of that?
Do you guys still plan to do like that move up day? Like
Yeah.
the 8th graders to 9th grade, you guys still plan to do
Yes,
like that?
I plan on doing something like that for 6th grade, coming up from elementary to 8th grade going to high school. I want to get that going earlier, like in February. Things have just been crazy, you know, recently. But as things start to settle now, you know, we're into the hybrid model, and as we get that going, making sure this is the point of emphasis to get families into the building, you know, so they can see some of the good things that's going on at the high school, but then also get 5th graders into our middle school so they can see what's going on in our middle school as well.
And Michelle, I just wanted to tell you, if you wanted, I could try to have Right Track come again.
Okay.
Remember
Yeah, that was
when
helpful. Yeah.
And their applications are open February, so a whole month of February,
Mhm.
and we have someone coming in to help them with their applications for summer internship,
Okay.
if they're interested.
Okay.
And we'll also have a few, we'll also have a few spots, so I can come do some recruitment too, if
Okay.
you want.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you know, I can just do a plug, like, hey, we'll be hiring, you know, high schoolers to work with us, but then we can have like one of the coaches come.
Okay.
The Right Track coaches from the county, and then they can also work with them. But if you want, I can have that
Okay.
happen for that, so
Yeah.
just let me know.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay.
Rashad, maybe 2 or 3 more minutes here, and then we'll switch over to Jenny and make sure the board has a chance to ask any questions.
Okay. And the last thing I'll just highlight that I know parents and students are really liking. Some teacher, Ms. B, actually came up to me and Vicky the other day and thanked us for doing the A and B honor roll. I got a lot of students' attention.
That did.
That did,
Yeah, I
you know.
love being on the honor roll.
Uh-huh.
That was good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that we started last year, and
Get a little
we,
certificate.
because they got certificate, we post their names in the hallway under the A&B honor roll, so that got a lot of students'
I just
attention.
saw y'all monthly staff parking. I parked.
Yeah.
I thought it was. I parked here. This so good.
Staff of the month.
Yeah, so we definitely
I'm
gotta keep the
not.
A&B honor roll going.
I think as a parent, it give the kids something to strive to.
They do, and
Yeah.
Ms. B came up to me last week and thanked me and Vicky and Desmond, you know, for doing that and asked us to keep it up because she said she got kids in her classroom that talks about, hey, Miss B, what is my grade? I need to get on this A&B honor roll. I want to get that certificate. I want to get my name on the wall. So I'm gonna definitely keep highlighting students who are doing really well in our school.
It just shows when you raise the expectations, they will raise up to them, like it, for both staff and students. I mean, it just
Yeah.
sounds like really great things are happening this year, so I just commend all of you for all of that. It's awesome to hear, cause it's exactly what I was hoping for this year, so
Thank
good
you,
job.
Michelle.
Thank you so much.
My baby's so happy
Awesome.
she made the big honor roll.
Okay.
And my mom was
Yay.
like, high five. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Now she gets recognized for it, so she's like, look, Mom.
Now, do anybody have any questions? I know Jenny got to go too.
Just to help Lyric get more interested in honor roll than the cheese she gets in Miss Vicky's office. You gotta switch that.
Definitely.
One of the conversations that Rashad and I have had over the course of the year is working towards defining what does it mean to be a student at St. Paul City School. In just listening to you, Rashad, I saw themes of that throughout what you presented. What it means to be a student at our school means how you walk down the hallway. It means what does it look like when you're in class. It means striving to be on the honor roll, and that's been I think an important and helpful reminder for us as we think about whether it's student discipline or it's anything else that we're doing here. Really what we're trying to do is to push and shape our students into being the kind of student that we want them to be here, and students who have the opportunity to engage in a rigorous experience and be off to college or career or whatever they choose to. So that, I appreciate your work on that, thank you, because I do see those themes throughout our push to like, what does it mean to be a kid here at our school?
I think too, even things like the newsletter and the vision of the wolf and the wolf pack, and they're talking about that, cause last year, you could ask the kids, they're like, they don't know anything about a mascot. Now, I bet you most of them know they're part of the wolf pack, and that's our mascot, and that like gives them something to strive for, and something to be proud of, and so all of those little things build into the culture of being something to be proud of here. So it's, it's those things, but it's also the administrative things and behind the scenes things that they don't even realize they're playing into, but they are. The kids don't even know it, but just those kind of things are just huge. I'm just really, really proud of them.
Well, thank you, guys.
Well, you know, you can
Thanks,
try if you
Rashad.
have
Thank
any
you.
issues with my baby.
Just beat Lyric.
As Jenny comes over, you talked about like just the theme of the wolf and the wolf pack, and Jenny, this is one thing that Jenny picked up on like right away and runs with all the time. It's great. Like whether it's the staff updates or it's anything else, like picking up on that and helping us create an identity that I don't think was always there before, or at least it wasn't for a period of time at the school. Yeah, you've done a really great job of that, so I'll let you take it from there.
Well, and another shout out that Rashad didn't mention at secondary is just the teams, the sports teams. Basketball's up and running, volleyball, soccer was in the fall. And I'm in the parents of a middle schooler here club, so I kind of get to hear all of those kinds of adventures too. So, but yeah, it's really fun to see community come together and celebrate and cheer, and yeah, it's pretty powerful to see. So, all right, my notes are on my phone. I can't read my own handwriting if I try to write. Yeah, so kind of going through the same kinds of things that Rashad did, really thinking about when I was thinking about what's really going well. We have so much energy and excitement around our phonics instruction right now. And so like when we did our fall benchmark scores and we were able to see current levels of our students, we had very few students who were at or above grade level, very few. And so we really went deep into our phonics instruction. We did some rearranging of groups and like kind of swapping so that our highest need students are in the smallest size group for their core instruction, and also making it so they're with like our most highly qualified teachers. So when it comes to like reading instruction, like our most struggling readers are with like a reading interventionist, or they're with someone who has really intense background and experience in that. And all of our teachers have going either through or have done the READACT training, and so everyone is qualified, but we also know like we've got some of our teachers who are expert level reading teachers, and so really working to kind of adjust what that core looks like. So in K through 2, not only are they getting core instruction in a smaller group, and they're getting it at a level that's right where they need, but they're also getting additional interventions that are pulled out on top of that. So we have been like just excited for our our winter benchmarking for Bassbridge, which started last week, and now we have 50% of our kids here to be able to complete the benchmark. So we still want to be able to collect as much data as we can, and we're definitely going to celebrate the growth of who we have here. But it was kind of those like, because like we were just so ready to see big growth in our phonics. We also added phonics instruction in 4th and 5th grades. Traditionally, I'm a former 5th grade teacher. Like we really left phonics in K1, 2, a little bit of 3. But really the science of reading and everything with the READACT really has helped us recognize the need for phonics all the way up. And so we did not have phonics curriculum for 4th and 5th grade, but we are implementing in kind of a reading intervention block. Kids are accessing what they need, and almost all of the 4th and 5th graders still need some phonics instruction. And so really proud of our teachers as they've shifted with that. But yeah, the curriculum that we have, Groves is our literacy, our phonics curriculum, and we really we put all in. So we really we're hoping to see growth for this winter benchmark, and hopefully we'll still have it with our group that's here and be able to assess kids who aren't here, being able to get those kind of numbers and to see. So, but yeah, we've been phonics.
I feel like that was part of the strategic plan too. It's like one of the
Yeah.
in the reading stuff. So it's nice to see that like implemented and rolled out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very much, we have a lot of layers of support, and especially the K3 and how they're rolling that out, including an outside Groves coach from the vendor, and that's part of the support since she's here every week. She's also very active in this transition to distance learning right now because they have a lot of things kind of on standby, ready to go with that. So yeah, phonics has been where it's at. Super excited to see, and even like behavior referrals out of phonics time isn't happening, like because teachers are so in, like kids are dialed in. Sometimes I have one teacher who sends like, oh hey, this one student who typically struggles behaviorally was co-teaching with his teacher the phonics lesson, and was being able to be a leader in that. So kids are feeling the success from it, which is really exciting to see. So then thinking about kind of our priorities for growth, we are continuing to work on our school-wide behavior systems. We just this month hired a new dean of students, so Tavares Clinton, he's transitioned from his restorative practice role into elementary dean of students. So excited for Tavares in that role. One thing that I am looking forward to is that we were very reactionary and we're working to be more proactive. But in that reactionary, I spent a lot of time on behavior supports, just because we need people and kids have needs and we need adults to do it. So I was often finding myself like during the school day really on call and really responding to individual student needs. And really having Tavares there is going to let me be the instructional leader that I'm excited and eager to be, as opposed to just being able to be that after after school by email, but being able to just be that much more present. You know, I'm pretty, I move quite a bit, I'm in a lot of spaces, but to be able to just be that much more intentional about instruction, knowing that we've got systems in place for behavior. And so with Tavares in that Dean of Students role, really working on his work to be reactive, like when there's something that is significant to the point that learning can't continue in the classroom, then that would be that call to Tavares. We went over with staff today, and we'll continue throughout the week, kind of reminders of what that looks like. You know, we are working to grow our the habit to make it part of our process to complete a behavior referral, so that way we can track the data. And so some of the things that we can track with that data is we can, PBIS talks about the top 5, but we can see like who behavior is coming from. Is there a disproportionate number of blank, right? You know, boys or students of color or whatever kinds of things. Look for trends so we can see if there's things we need to interrupt that way. Be able to see when. I've been in other schools where like Mondays have the highest referrals no matter what. So like, what do we need to do as a school if that's the case? Like, how do we make Mondays a softer landing for our kids, or what, you know, those kinds of things. And these are all things that we haven't been able to do because we haven't had the concrete, consistent data to be able to do that. So teachers entering it, Tavares being part of that support, like, hey, how can I help you get this through? Can we do it together? Those kinds of things. So eager to get that going. And like I said, today we rolled out kind of another review of the protocols and the system. We didn't get to everyone because there was so much going, but we did take attendance, so we know who was able to hear it in round 1, and we'll be able to follow up with individuals and teams to make sure everyone kind of has that grounding there. Also, when we think about behavior management, behavior support, also knowing like the best behavior management tool is quality instruction, right? So making sure that like we are really putting the energy into our lessons, into the instruction every day. And we have some new curriculums, so there's things that we're playing with, that we're getting better at, that we're growing on. And so that's just looking forward to having some of those things in place and being on year 2 in the future will be really exciting too. And then as we move into this spring and into summer, prepping for fall, really looking at school-wide systems to continue to support our teachers and our students. And so responsive classroom is one, and so that's something that a group of teachers or leadership team went to attend a training to kind of get their feet wet in it and kind of see if that's going to align. Is starting to really roll out what it's going to look like to train our teachers in that responsive classroom. Just build their toolbox, right, and how we're supporting kids. And then PBIS, positive behavior interventions and supports, is there are cohorts every year through the Department of Ed where schools can go through the training and be able to get support from the state to be able to implement. And I have a lot of my own experiences have been in that PBIS implementation world. And so really kind of doing some of the groundwork so that we can hit the ground running on PBIS. I'm starting to see like what teachers are interested in some leadership and stepping up into that, what opportunities we can go into to kind of learn about some things and build momentum and energy and see where that work goes to. One of the big components of PBIS is really explicitly naming your behavior expectations. And so working off of the, now I have to make sure I'm long day and say it, accountability, respect, and teamwork, really pulling in those 3 to do the acronym of ART as opposed to RAT. But to really talk, we've been talking with kids since back to school from winter break of, you know, this is what it's like to be accountable in the hallways. This is what it's like to be respectful in the hallways, to have teamwork in the hallways. And then what does that look like to have it in the cafeteria, in the classroom? Like really building even our youngest learners' vocabulary to be able to say accountability and to be able to talk about what that means. And so these first 2 weeks back from school, every day there was a slideshow, a different reminder. So the whole school reviewed hallway expectations. The whole school went and did a practice for how to do a group bathroom break in terms of waiting in the line, and one per hall, the rest in the stall, or one per stall, the rest in the hall. Wrong way, my bad. But just really looking at that school-wide PBIS. So making our growth and our plans moving forward.
Just one quick addition. So ART, acronym that Jenny's talking about, that's our great acronym. So we talked about this early on, and where maybe in secondary we're going to use all 5 letters of the acronym, because in elementary they wanted to shorten this up a little bit and make this a little bit more manageable. They took the A, the R, and the T in the growth mindset and equity, which are the other 2 letters and parts of the acronym. That's the full part of our great acronym that is our values that the board approved last year. So we've really tried to stay consistent with the values that we've established as a school. And Jenny and her team pulled out part of them to go about teaching these expected behaviors, but staying true to the values and the way that we're going to continue to talk about what it means to be a student.
Yeah, I think along with all of this, in terms of how we're supporting our kids, is that like really emphasizing our teams and reminding teachers like you're not in this by yourself. It's not just you problem solving on the students here. Like really trying to like really tighten our team so people know like who your go-to is. So for example, the behavior specialist role, they're in a proactive role. So they'll be doing like behavior interventions. They have scheduled times a day. They'll do check-ins with kids. They're really working to be proactive. But we have them split as one doing K2 and one doing 3-5 and really pre-K2. But that way, like all of pre-K2, like your go-to person is this person. So it's like you know who to go to. And then wherever we can, really look at, whether it's paraprofessional support, if they're really concentrated in one grade level, like let's have them be on that team, like really trying to grow and emphasize teams, because it's way too hard of a job to do by yourself. So just finding ways to team and to support each other there. Ben also asked us about the strategic plan and kind of, what we're seeing on that, and really is it a quadrant, because there's 4, but the academic piece, like I said, we are working on that literacy side, and so really FastBridge scores is the measurable in there. So really hoping that we get some data in this winter, but then in the spring to watch that growth. We do have progress monitoring happening too, so that we're able to do like these like every 2-week check-ins to kind of see, are we on a trajectory for those reading scores, so that's not a total surprise when we get there. And kids are like their charts are going up, and it's really exciting to see. So I'm just really excited. Our focus being literacy this year, and maybe and then math can be probably more of a central focus next year. But really, this literacy launch is all. We're all in there. And then the last thing I just wanted to touch on is just kind of the hybrid piece, and like I've shared a little bit already, it looks different at our age levels, pre-K through 5. 4th and 5th are, like I said, they're going to do like that hybrid, synchronous, in-person, not having kids on the screen all day, but for the direct instruction piece, and then being able to follow up. And then really just kind of figuring out how we're able to do math and literacy, and have all of our kids have access and interaction with that. Teachers have done a great job. Last week, we were trying to just give them every update we could, as it got closer, like, okay, I think virtual is going to be probably more than we first anticipated, and just really just all we can do is be transparent and share what we know when we know it, and then and it seems to have really transferred into really great work today. We got backpacks out to kids, distance learning, able to get supplies, get the devices for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So yeah, I'm just really proud of our teachers who are going into something that's about as unclear as it can be. So trying to just find where there is clarity and how we can take that momentum and go with it. So yeah, never a dull day.
Thank you, Jenny. What a great first year. You really like come in and just like, embrace the culture and all that.
Lots of learning, lots of listening, lots of prioritizing, kind of deciding where we, what we tackle now and what we tackle later. But
Are you in need of any more backpacks?
the backpacks themselves, I think, were good. Yep.
I think you're doing really great strategies, Jenny. Like figuring out who's, really strong teachers, pairing them with the ones that really need it, and your approach is really nice. So I'm excited. I'm glad reading's important. I've been using reading as escaping lately, so I think it's a good skill to have.
I really think that the literacy is going to come together. I really.
So learn to read,
It will.
read to learn. I think that once you guys get that, it'll help in a lot of other areas.
Yeah. Like I said, that phonics in our upper grades is huge addition that we did not have before.
Definitely. I have seen a lot of improvement in Sophia when she comes home. She always telling me that like they're reading. She's like, I really like this. And my brother, one of my brothers, he's really big into church, and so he got Sophia a child Bible. And so when he comes home, when he comes home from work, he sits down with Sophia for like 30 minutes, and he has Sophia read the Bible to him. And sometimes I'm like in the background just listening and just hearing Sophia say specific words that I'm like, wow, I don't think I knew that when I was your age. Or so it's really nice to see how much she's improved in her literature and how well she's speaking. So
And it supports them being independent learners. If you know how to look, you can give me this, I can read it, I can do it, I can, so I think that's a perfect place to start in terms of like academic and focusing on that phonics part.
That just made me think about Laura had talked to one of our high school students about his younger brother needing to read some more, and then he came in the library to pick out some books to read with his brother. So I'm wondering if you two could like partner up and figure out like sibling sets and how to like support, like have the older ones support the little ones at home and like really foster that reading at home. It was really cute. He was like trying to find soccer books that he thought his little brother would like, and like we all gave him the big brother speech about like read to him or have him read to you. And so
Well, and even like I said, the confidence of kids are growing.
Yeah.
And when they're more confident, they're not, they're just more open and they're ready to go and then they're excited and they're interested. So like I said, behaviors are just not happening during that growth time right now. So.
yeah. But a lot of our like siblings take their oldest sibling responsibility very seriously. So I know it's like they knew that their younger ones needed to read more.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something up at home that
Well, thank you, Jenny.
Yes.
All of
Thank
that
you.
in 6 months on the job.
I know, but they got even busy.
Need a nap. No, it's good every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to
Kick
see
you
you.
out?
Okay, no.
You got it.
Annual report.
All right, I'm gonna give a hopefully
Thanks, you
relatively
guys.
brief summary here. You have the full document. But I wanna say at the outset that this is a new model for me and for us. When I came into the position, there hadn't been that I could find, unless Amy or somebody else knows of where it was. This template that we have here didn't exist. There was one from a few years prior, but this model of the annual report is brand new, and it ensures that we're covering all of the bases that we need to as part of our annual report. So by this time each year, I'll complete an annual report for the year prior, and then we'll connect it into our annual meeting in May. Our board bylaws have us at our annual meeting in May, so I'll come back to this as a little bit of background for where we stand as a school and going forward. By then, it'll be a little bit late because this is the 24-25 school year. But I do think that this report contains a lot of information that sometimes we had to look for in different places. So again, I wanna highlight just a couple of things because I know it's a 35 or 40-page report. Early on, I mentioned the refinancing of the building. Again, the building will be refinanced in about 2 years, in 2028. That's an important timeline for us to remember. I have some information on the GREAT acronym, the framework that we were just talking about. I guess mine's not numbered for you, but on page 4 or 5.
Yeah, page 4.
And then in the IQS, the Innovative Quality Schools, our authorizer, our scorecards and the information is in there. Our 21 through 25 accountability framework is linked in there. The composite scores are here on this page. And what we've talked about previously is our lowest score right now, area for growth, is in performance. That's academic performance. That's an area that we know that we need to continue to improve on. But all of that information is
Sounds like this year's a
linked
great
there.
start on that, though.
We're getting there. You know, as the principals were talking, I was reminded, and I tried to find one quick too, but it typically in another school, maybe at principals, if we were to take a pie chart of the amount of time they spend on student discipline, that on average, maybe that's about 25% of their day in a typical principal position. And our principals have been spending much more than that. And we need to work to become more proactive as an organization so they can spend more time supporting our teachers and developing the instructional part of our work. It's been hard to make that a priority because so much of it has been in this reactionary space that we're trying to get better at. In general, as I'm just sort of zipping through information here, there's a little bit on charter school property too. That's the nonprofit that owns the building. If you look at enrollment, after that you'll see that there's, on average, there's relatively steady growth on our October 1 count.
Quick question, this charter school property, is that all they do is just own property?
Yeah, it's just this. It's just this
building. One.
Correct, and they have their own separate board, as it's listed in here. But yeah, it's not an organization that owns multiple. It's
Okay.
the configuration that charter schools operate under to be able to have their own building.
So they were like put together just to own
Correct.
this building, because I didn't know Tiffany was on there, okay?
Correct.
What's it about?
Tiffany Scott now.
Really? I don't know.
Known
Well,
her
are we
since
supposed
she
to have
was
a meeting with
known
them
her since she
anyway?
was a kid. Like literally a kid, like elementary, middle school.
The demographic information in there, I'm not gonna go through that. You know, you can see that approximately our demographic information has not changed over the last 3 years. If you went to the Minnesota Department of Education's report card website now, you would see the 2025 data listed there at the time that I was putting this portion of the report together. It was not up on the website. It is now, so that's why you don't see 2025 on the screenshots that I have in this report. For elementary school in math, there was just a minor change in 2025 to the better. And in reading in elementary, it was, again, very minor, but slightly to the worse on our MCA scores. In general, you would see that our students have a little ways to go on our academic outcomes as we were talking about. Just a note, if you're looking through this as well, that the comparison charts here are all grades. And so, for example, if we're looking here, I would have had to either pull this by grade level or all students. So this is not an apples to apples comparison because this is all students and these are just elementary age students. So I've got that noted, but just to remember that. I know I'm going quickly here, but looking at middle school, in 2025, it was essentially the same. There was not a lot of change from 24 to 25 in reading MCA scores. In math in middle school, it was slightly better in 2025, but again, in all of these categories, you can see that there's a lot of opportunities for growth for our students. interesting, when I went back to review things earlier today, I went to science for middle school and for high school, and the graphs that I have in the report were no longer on the MBE report card. I'm not 100% sure why they took them down. You would only see 2025. I know that they changed the test at some point, but I'm not confident why they took down the previous years and only now have 2025, because at the time when I grabbed this screenshot, which was probably December, but it was there. So just FYI if you're for any reason going to the report card. And then the correction that I need to make is under high school. I'm still talking about MCAs here, and they are labeled incorrectly. And so where it says SPCS reading 10th grade and then statewide, those should be flipped. And so again, my notes on my page here, they need the heading is incorrect. The data is correct. The heading is incorrect, and I'll fix that. There's information in here on the preschool indicators and high risk, some risk, or on track. A reading and a math. This is what Jenny was talking about earlier. This is the fast bridge test. It's part of our strategic plan, and it will be the primary place that we're looking for seeing growth in our students. We do a fall, winter, and spring assessment in fast bridge, and that's our primary tool for, again, tracking growth and the progress monitoring that's happening in between. You can see how we're doing on that growth on this page, that there's a scale, and there's, my copy is black and white, but you'll see how many students are falling to which type of growth. It's important that at our school in particular, because we have some students that are below grade level, that they are making aggressive growth, because we're trying to make up ground in most cases. There's quite a bit of information in here on student, family, and staff surveys that we've done previously. One thing that I will note, a lot of it we've talked through in one way or another, is that we've not consistently administered the same survey year in, year out, and that makes it hard to track progress longitudinally. And so one thing that we've been developing as part of our full service community school work and as a school is a consistent survey that's grounded sometimes in questions that we're required to ask with our authorizer, but in other times grounded in a research-based framework. In this case, we're going to use the 5 Essentials framework, which is from the University of Chicago. The point being primarily, though, that we have a consistent way to ask questions to our students, families, and staff, and so that we can gather a good baseline, and then we can track that over time. When we're asking different questions year in and year out, we're not able to compare apples to apples, and it's not giving us the kind of consistent data that we want to be able to track. So that's actually linked in here, and so that if you wanted to see those survey questions, you'll see parenthetically there as well that which framework or where that question is attributed to, if it's 5 Essentials or through IQS or through full service community school or something else. That's at the end of that section. I think the rest of the information is fairly straightforward. I just want to go back to the staff survey really quickly. So I don't intend to gloss over that in any kind of way, because there's some fairly critical feedback there on things that staff wanted to see, and maybe I should go back to it, but things that we've talked about, greater accountability for our staff, increased professionalism and expectations, improving the academic rigor, addressing our student behavior issues. These are all things that you guys have heard from our principals that we're working on improving. We've heard that. We're not there yet. I just spoke to all of our staff recently, and we've talked here about the time it takes to improve a school. And I really believe that we're on track. It just takes a while to improve a school. And I'm hopeful that it's not the 7-year track that Betsy talked about that one time. Because there's a lot of work to do, and we've made a lot of progress over the last year and a half, but we have so we'll keep working forward. But some of that feedback from our staff is an important driver in the things that we're doing, especially on the staff accountability and professionalism.
When was this survey?
Last year.
Was it beginning of the year, end of the year? Do you
Uh,
remember when
it was
kinda
late
mid-year?
spring,
Late
yeah.
spring. Yeah. I feel like just based on what comes home, cause you know there talks about everything, but just based on the information that comes home, it feels like the climate is much improved, cause Claire talks about everything and there have been no complaints from her about staff. I mean, complaints about, I wasn't doing anything, that kind of stuff, you know, complaints about her stuff, but just no complaints about teachers being unfair, about any staff stuff going on in the hallways. I mean, it's just literally like day and night from last year. So I feel like from what I expected an improvement, just cause I expected you, like, I just knew it was gonna happen. I knew you were gonna do it, but I didn't expect that drastic of a change that quickly. So I'm personally, being in education for the last 40 years, I'm impressed at how quick the change has been made and the culture has shifted, and I know it's not anywhere near where you want it, but I'm really impressed that the change has happened so quickly and that our students are feeling it and accepting it and adapting to it so quickly. Like they're just day and night with the students. It's showing.
I appreciate that, and I do know that it's not fast enough for plenty of folks too. And you know, I've said it's not fast enough for me sometimes, and you know, we're trying to move it forward as quickly as we can. But we know, and I share this with staff, that that moving our school from where we were to where we want to go is not just a multi-year process. It's several years. You know, it's a 4 to 6, 7 year kind of process, and it's just me. But if we looked at the time from, you know, my lens at least, is a year and a half is where we are. So I do think that we're on track, but yeah, we have more work to do. Until we're serving our kids in the way that we should be serving our kids, then we're going to keep pushing forward. I went really quick on a really long report though.
But we're gonna visit it again as well.
We will, and I'm going to keep working to make it better. So if you have feedback on what's there, if there's things that you wish was there, like, hey, there's a lot here, but what about this or this? It was really my first run through on a new template that'll be different, and so if you have feedback, for sure, let me know. I do think it needs board approval though.
Just the format of it, or the information
report
in it?
itself.
Okay.
I can make a motion to approve our annual report.
Second?
I do need to make the one
The
heading
switch, yeah,
change.
with the
Yes.
switching the charts.
Yes.
The titles of the chart. Did you second? Any discussion? You know, I was looking at Sheila like, Sheila,
Yeah,
are we good, Sheila?
Yeah, it looks good. I didn't read all of the, but I did look at it. Yeah, I think it provided all the kind of necessary information that someone who is looking at, right? Who wants to read your annual report,
Would get out of it. I felt the same way. I was
it
like,
felt like
it's-
an annual report.
Yep. It felt
Okay,
annual
well, good.
reporting.
Box check.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, your report passes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Woo-hoo. Okay, director's
For the
report.
director's report, yeah, I can let that be in the presentation that we'll share with you, because you have all the information there. Though I do just want to say that thankful for our partnership with Open Cities. If you didn't catch it in there, adding a bilingual therapist that's going to be here starting Spanish English. That'll be here starting on Tuesdays, and perhaps some additional hours on Thursdays and Fridays. That's a need that I've heard for since I got here, and to have some of that support in addition to the full-time therapists that we have here.
What are those referrals made? Is it only students with IEPs, or is it
No.
anyone?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I don't know the process. a good reminder. The other thing that that they're launching here soon is the optometry services. So we will be looking for a community partner for actually getting the physical eyeglasses for our students, but the exams can happen here. And so, and that's one thing as students came in for physicals and those sorts of things that they were noticing right away is that we have kids who need glasses and they don't have them.
Well, that'll help for
And
the
having
learning.
optometry here and getting glasses here because it's quite a few of our students.
Yeah.
So that's a massive win as well that I'm really excited about getting those two services going. We also need to just make sure that we are, anybody, board members included, put the word out about the clinic. It's a great resource, and there's times where they've been in a couple of lulls of service, and we want to make sure that they're fully utilized for the healthcare.
I will reach out to the organization that did our eye clinic. And I know like they did everything, including the glasses, but I'll reach out to them and just see if they have any local contacts because I know we sent the glasses to Pearl for adjustments or people who didn't pick up, so they have some sort of partnership with Pearl. So
Okay.
let me just reach out to them and
Thank you.
see if they have any kind of connection that they could get Pearl to do something if we were doing the exams, if Pearl would kick in and do something.
Can you clarify too, when you say we want them to be fully utilized and spread the word in public, people from the public come and use it?
Yeah, they wouldn't turn them away if they came to see them. The priority has been serving our students and families, and our staff. But so we really haven't they haven't really advertised it to be beyond that. But if somebody came to them, we would serve them.
We, like the priority is spread the word within our school community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know when the, excuse me, when the optometry stuff is gonna start at the clinic?
I don't. I can check on that.
Okay. Ben was looking at doing another clinic in 2026 for Hallie too, so we're doing another one. I mean, it costs hundreds of thousands to do it, but if we can get a partnership here to get just the glasses, that would be awesome. The GoFundMe, is that just like a general school needs money, or does that have a specific thing attached to it we need money for? Cause I've never seen what it says our GoFundMe has. I don't know what it's asking for in
Yeah, so
GoFundMe.
the GoFundMe operates under our DAM Foundation. This is the Doing Amazing Magic from Nothing Foundation. That predates me. I didn't name it or come up with the exact acronym.
That sounds like a Nancy, that so sounds like.
And the foundation was created in the way, or at least the way that we've used it since I've been here, is to support families who are maybe need some emergency shelter support.
Okay.
It's used for families who maybe need some extra food, or there's some sort of situation where we can help them get through a moment in their life. And the GoFundMe was created under the foundation to raise money for those same purposes, knowing that there are more families that are in need. And through those donations and the support of Hallie Q and other organizations, that's part of how we got to all of the food delivery. There's a lot of generosity to the foundation, and I'm really proud of the community for their donations to be able to help our families into that separate account.
Yeah, I'm just wondering like what I would look up to share it if I was.
Or I would like.
It's closed. It's closed now.
Okay.
Okay,
It's
'cause
closed
it says
now.
it now has more than 23,000,
Yeah.
so I didn't
It
know
says
if we were.
27, over 27.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah.
But, so, I think the way Esteban, like, advertised it was that that money was going to support Dan Foundation like account and just gonna be generally used what we've always used it for, or are we like ramping up support for
Oh.
families that can't leave and
No, the funds will be able to allow us to do the same things that we've been doing, but in a much more expansive way than what we were able to earlier. And so I'm not sure if this is your question or not, but part of the record keeping and accounting, we've tracked all of this, and so that we know exactly how much has come in recently. But again, we've raised money for this foundation previously too. It'll go to those same things that it was intended to before. There's just a lot more need right now.
Right.
And that's what it'll allow us to be able to do.
So does it just open up periodically then? The GoFundMe just goes up every once in a while to kind of replenish that fund?
We've done like Give to the Max Day in
Oh,
the
that's
past.
what it is. Okay.
But in this case, this was just a need that that was recognized, and so the GoFundMe was put up just in this recent time, these last couple of weeks.
how much do we actually get of that 25? How much does GoFundMe take the cut?
They do take a portion. I'm not exactly sure what the portion is, but you're right. And it is fairly
Significant,
expensive.
yeah.
But it is also one of the more popular ones that are still out there. So there is a cut that they take for sure.
That can be really helpful for families that, might not be able to work right now or get food or. So it's wonderful to see that you guys do have this resource available to families in-house to be able to continue to support them, especially in times like this, so.
At some point, we might consider changing the name of the foundation. But unless Amy's really
Amy
tied
says
to
no,
it.
so.
All opposed. Will we give the information to staff about how to communicate with families
Or like how
if
they
they have any?
apply.
I know you guys have been like making phone calls and needs assessments, but like it felt very subjective. You and I had talked about a family need a couple months ago, and it feels very subjective about like who gets what. And I know it's hard to like make those determinations, but if a family is saying like I need something, how do we communicate with families that we are here to support in that way now that we've replenished our funds a little bit already?
Yeah, I think we can do more of it. And we've generally offered that. But I think it's fair to say that we could be more specific with what support the foundation and St. Paul City School can do. The parameters have really been around, although again, increased clarity would be helpful, have really been around emergency car needs, or it's shelter or food, or it's something in the basic needs category. But now that I think we have these funds, like we need to keep clarifying that.
And if you decide to like post it again at a certain time, it'd be nice to share it like with the board or something, because if I would have known, like I would have shared it with people that I know would have donated. I just didn't know that it was a thing. So I'd love to be able to share that with family members and stuff like that I know would donate to it. So I don't know how it went out, how it got shared out, but I'd like to be able to share that. Make sure it gets out to my people.
I think then what she's asking is, can we still take donations?
Well, if it's not up anymore, then,
The foundation is always going to
Yeah, we
take
didn't take
donations,
donations.
through whatever method,
Can you get
whatever
our
method.
damn foundation, please?
What about the Dan Foundation?
I think that I think part of where I was in thought, besides taking a couple notes there, is that ideally the foundation is run by either one of you or somebody else from the community, and that's a goal for me/us, is that that somebody else runs the foundation. We've kept it separate from the school, but ideally there's somebody that beyond the school that is helping us with that. So keep that in mind. But as far as donating, one of the things that actually just today Espen and I foundation. And that would allow people to go directly to the foundation, donate funds if they choose to, and learn information about what is happening with the funds that people are giving. So that's something that we're gonna work on as soon as we can get caught up just a little. Any questions about the report or anything else?
It is.
Try.
Good. Any old or new business? No? Remember anything hanging over from last month that the person being everyone's remembered? Is there something from last month? Was it something with a policy or something? I don't remember. Maybe it's my imagination. Okay, nobody remembers that close quick. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion. I second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed to adjourning? Woo-hoo, 6:59, Amy. Good job.
Thank you.